You know the rest. Welcome back to the Arch Advocate Podcast and have a happy Fat Tuesday. Happy Fat Tuesday to you, everybody. Now listen real quick, just to let you know, my wife is telling me that she believes that today is the day that little baby Rylan will be coming into the world. So hopefully I can do both, the podcast and bring a baby into the world. Today is a huge day. Now you're hearing a lot of people talking about red wave. What does this actually mean? I think a lot of people, I think when you say it to like the Young Turks fans who are all turds, they're idiots. When you go on to the Young Turks and you know they talk about impeaching Trump, right? You can go on there and say, you mean impeach Trump like Bill Clinton got impeached? And you'll literally have 10 people that'll say, Bill Clinton was never impeached, right? Because they don't understand what that word means. They don't know what impeached means, right? Like Bill Clinton was impeached, and he was not removed from office, right? Because if you go through impeachment and you're found guilty, like Bill Clinton was, well, then you have a whole nother problem of going to the Senate and getting enough senators to vote to force the president of the United States out, right? And they'll say, you go to the Young Turks and be like, are you talking about impeaching Trump the same way Nixon was impeached? And they'll be like, yeah, man, I mean, it took 2 years, but they finally impeached Nixon. It's like, oh no, dummy. Nixon was not impeached. Nixon resigned. He never went through impeachment. Right? They had him dead to rights, and he didn't want to go through impeachment proceedings, so he just stepped aside. Right? Richard Nixon was not impeached. Bill Clinton was. Right? You bring that up to liberals, and it's like, because we no longer have civics class in our schools, right? And people get their understanding of how our system works from the Young Turks or Fox News or CNN or, InfoWars or wherever it is that they get their information from. It's not from a book, right? Now there's, some of those things I just mentioned are decent sources where you can glean enough information, but nothing can teach you like a book. A book that's written on paper and has ink and it has a smell to it, it has a spine, and you can carry it around with you, right? They used to teach that stuff in school. They don't teach that stuff anymore, which is kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because now you've got all these liberals that will fall for things like James Wood got kicked off of Twitter for that meme that he had with those 3 soy boys, like these 3 dudes that you could tell were just cracked out of their mind from just years and years of drinking soy. And it said, we need to put the male patriarchy down. Just let women vote. Let women only vote this year. And Twitter kicked James Woods off for posting that meme because it was a misrepresentation of It was like a ploy to convince liberals not to show up and vote as a way of virtue signaling. And it's hilarious that Twitter took him down because they know there are liberals out there that are so stupid and they're so high on their own supply of virtue signaling and fake, a fake sense of justice that they would fall for something like that. Because they didn't teach those kids in school, this is how our system works. Like when President Obama said, I got a pen and a cell phone, it's like, whoa, you're just talking about writing into law just things that you want written into law? It's like, dude, that's not how our system works. Executive privilege and executive orders, it's like, that's not how that's supposed to work. And yet the left was like, yay! It's like, no, this is going to bite you in the ass, liberal. Just like in, 2012, 2013, when the Democrats changed the filibuster rule because they were in charge back then, and so they changed the filibuster rule. And Harry Reid, top Democrats were coming out saying, guys, I understand what you're doing. I understand it, but you have to keep in mind, we're not going to be in power forever. And if you change this law, then when the Republicans take back over, we will not be able to filibuster. And sure enough, right? And it's almost like our politicians never read how our system works, right? That they would be so foolish to do that. When when Obama's, when they put the Affordable Health Care Act up there, and it was 20,000 pages or whatever it was, and Nancy Pelosi comes out and says, "Oh, well, you just need to sign it into law, and then you'll be able to sit down and take your time to read it." It's like, wow, you've got some balls on you to say that to the American people, right? That's not how our system is supposed to work. That's oligarchy, right? That's when the nation is being run by lawmakers, right? Oligarchy, Ugh, crazy. So anyways, here are the facts. Like, in the United States Congress, when we talk about a red wave, right? What does that actually mean? To the liberals, when they see people like me talking about the red wave, I think that what they think, I think, is that I think that there's going to be, as of tomorrow, there's going to be no more Congress people who are Democrats with a job tomorrow. That's not, that's not what the red wave is. And I think that there's a lot of Democrats that when they say blue wave, what they're thinking is, oh, there's going to be a blue wave, and on Wednesday, November 7th, there's not going to be any more Republicans in Congress. It's like, no. If tomorrow let me break it down by the numbers. There are 435 congressional seats, all right? 435 congressional seats. And 7 of those seats are vacant right now. So really, of the 435, tonight, people will be voting on 428 of those, all right? So let's just say it's 428. Out of the 428, there are 235 Republicans and 193 Democrats, right? California has a lot of Congress people. New York, and a lot of your coastal, like Miami, right? You've got Broward County, and there's certain districts in Broward where it's like the higher the population, the more Congress people you get, right? And most people in the United States live coastally, and people on the coast tend to be more liberal, right? If tomorrow it turns out that instead of 193 Democrats, there's 192, that's a red wave and a huge victory, right? If tomorrow there's 194 Democrats, then that's a blue wave and that's a victory for them. 1, right? You get 1 and you win. Or if you keep it the same, right? Democrats, if you wake up tomorrow and there's still only 193 Democrats in Congress, then you've lost, right? Because you have to close that gap. You have to even that number up to where you have as many Democrats as you have Republicans, and then you will have the power to stop Donald Trump. If you're not at least half and half with the Republicans, then you've lost. And the red wave is won. Now, senators, said before, everybody knows this, there are 100 senators. Every state gets 2. Right now there are 47 Democrat senators and 51 Republicans and 2 independent who belong to the Democratic caucus. Right? Alaska is independent. Alaska's senator is independent. I don't know who the other one is, but look, if the Democrats pick up a single senator, right, if they close the gap and make it 50-50, then that's a loss. That's a blue wave and a loss. If the Republicans push the Democrats out 1 seat, that's a red wave. That's a huge loss. If they don't get 50-50 in the Senate, right, because all roads lead through the Senate. So if you only have 48, if it's 48 to 52, then whoever that 52 is, that's the big winner. Big chicken dinner, right? So when you talk about blue wave versus red wave, don't think, tomorrow, if it's, if the Republicans only pick up like 4 or 5 seats and you think like, oh, only 4 or 5, it's like, no, that's a tsunami. If for the red wave to work, all you got to do is keep everything at least exactly where it is in the Congress, and pick up just one seat in the Senate to give yourself just a little bit of breathing room. All right? That's it. That would be the red wave. Now, what are we up against here? As I said in yesterday's show, these are unprecedented times. For the last 2 years, the Democrats have doubled and quadrupled and octupled, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? They just keep doubling down. They just keep doubling down. It's like, there's, if you want to do a fun little calculator exercise sometime, pick up your calculator and take 1 penny, right? So if you had 1 penny on the first of the month, and then on the second day of the month, you doubled that and you made it 2 pennies, right? Now you have 2 cents. And on the third day of the month, if you doubled that, then you would have 4 cents. And on the fourth day, if you doubled that, then you would have 8 cents. If you kept doing that every single day, doubling your money from just 1 penny, at the end of that month, at the end of 30 or 31 days, you would have, I can't remember what the exact number is, but it's over $1 million, right? That's the power of doubling, right? If you just do it 30 times, and your starting off point is 1 penny, and you double it every day, by the end of the month, it's over $1 million. Well, this is what the Democrats have done. They just keep doubling down. Double their efforts. And what was it at first, right? First, they thought that they could run Bernie Sanders out. Like, Bernie Sanders won California and Florida. And the DNC said, okay, we know that you've won, but it doesn't matter because we're the Democrats and we don't care how people vote. We're going to run this old lady who can't stand up for very long and who lies out of her ass and who is a rapist apologist. We're going to run her because we think that the American public is so primed for virtue signaling that we can run this old lady out who has no message. Remember that, even if you're a liberal. What was Hillary Clinton's message? What was her platform? What was it that she was saying that she was going to fix, that the American people could come together and say, yeah, that needs to be fixed? One thing only, that there has never been a female president. That was her whole platform. I'm a lady. I should be president because there's never been a lady president. And here I am. Just turns out, just so happens to be that I'm a lady. It's like, lady, that's not enough. And furthermore, like your own people, everybody in America, Republican and Democrat alike, we've all been screaming to get people like you out of politics. You are a statist. You are the establishment. And what did the Democrats do? They ran the establishment person, the most establishment person ever. Donald Trump comes in, he's a foreigner, and he kicks the ass of, like, how many Republicans did he smother in just a couple of months? It's because the American people were like, as long as it's not a Bush or, you know what I mean, one of these Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz or whatever, like these kind of people. It's like, look, you guys are career politicians and you people are screwing up. Just give me anybody who's not you and I'll vote for that person. And enter Donald Trump. And so instead of the Democrats saying, okay, look, Barack Obama lost over 1,000 seats in the legislature and completely bankrupted the DNC, right? This guy has ruined the Democrats. So instead of regrouping and rebuilding, like in baseball, I'm sorry if you're listening to this and you have no idea about baseball, or if you're not an American and like you don't understand American baseball, I'll try to be as clear with this as I can. Sometimes like teams will get put together and they're really good, right? They've got good bats and they've got good, pitchers and they've got good outfielders and like everything's clicking. They've got a good coaching staff. They have good nutritionists. Like everything is good. They have a good, team doctor. Like everything is working well. Like you go to the New York Yankees or the Boston Red Sox, who, congratulations, just won the World Series. You go to these places and they have hundreds of millions of dollars every year to spend on players and on doctors and on travel expenses and all this stuff, right? Well, what happens is eventually all those good people, those good batsmen and those good pitchers and those good, like, they get old, they get worn out, then they have to be replaced. And a lot of times with a lot of different teams, it happens all at once. 3 out of their 9 guys, 30% of their team will just go. You know what I mean? They'll need surgery on their arms or legs or whatever, or they're just too old or whatever. And then the baseball team has to dig into their A ball, like AAA. They have to dig into their bench, right? What they have to do is rebuild. And it takes years, and it costs a lot of money, and then the fans have to get used to the new players and whatever, but it has to be done. And good, successful teams know, when this time comes, although it's very uncomfortable for us to do it, because we want to keep believing that this $90 million that we paid this one player is still going to be worth it, because after all, we paid him $90 million. He owes us some more victories. But at a certain point you have to say, no, we're gonna throw this guy out. We're gonna sell him off to a different team, and we're gonna bring up this young buck from AAA who nobody's ever heard of, and we're gonna put him in the hot spotlight. We're gonna let him make his bones. The Democrats didn't do that, right? They didn't rebuild. They said, okay, Barack Obama has doubled the national debt and done a lot of really shady things, and therefore we've lost over 1,000 state seats in the legislature. We lost a whole bunch of governorships, and he spent all the money, all the money in the DNC. The Democratic National Convention is broke. So instead of rebuilding and rebranding, what did they do? They ran out this horrible, lying-ass old lady who liked to pass out quite a bit, who's caught on tape on a number of occasions saying that, like, these people that my husband Bill Clinton raped, they're all just a bunch of, failed cabaret singers, and just horribly insulting these victims of her husband's rape, right? She gets on TV and is talking about, what was that guy's name? Omar Gaddafi, getting torn to pieces, just horrifically murdered in the middle of the street because of us, because of her. And she gets on TV and says, we came, we saw, he died. And everybody saw it, and it's like, whoa, what kind of psychopath is this? And when that didn't work, when she lost to Donald J. Trump, what did the Democrats do? They doubled down again. Everybody's a misogynist. If you voted for Donald Trump, you're either a woman-hating man with the misogyny and the racism, or you're a woman who is in support of a misogynist, rapist, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? They doubled down. And when that didn't work, they said Donald Trump paid $280,000 for some Facebook ads through a Russian company. So that's Russian collusion. Let's get drunk-ass Bob Mueller in here. 2 years later, what do we have? Nothing. It didn't work. And then after that, it was, we've got this tape of Russian whores pissing on Donald Trump, and he's paying them to do that. And then everybody said, okay, well, where's the tape? Where's the recording? Oh, we don't actually have one. So instead of, instead of rebuilding, what did they do from the Russian piss tapes? They doubled down with Stormy Daniels, right? And now look at Stormy Daniels. She ended up having to pay Donald Trump, right? How many stories in your life have you heard the story of the whore that paid the John? Or in this case, paid the Don. Right? She just got it, right? This was the result. You ran this worn out old whore to try to embarrass the president, and you ended up shooting yourself in the foot again. And now the whole world can see that this worn out, wrung out old whore has to pay her client, right? And then it's Michael Avenatti, the creepy porn lawyer. It's like you run this guy out, and he's out there talking about running for president. It's like, God, you people just don't get it. It's like, that's why it's so funny watching the Young Turks. It's like everything is racist. They're all alt-righters. They're Christians. And we all know about those Christians. They did the Crusades. And you ask them, like, well, what was the Crusades? And I don't know. I just heard it was really bad. And it was all because of the Christians. And this is who the Young Turks are. They just keep doubling down. Everything is racist. Everything is racist. Everyone's a Nazi. You cannot maintain that. You cannot keep doubling down. It doesn't work. In the example that I said earlier, it's true. Like if you take a penny on the first of the month and then you double it on the second of the month, and then on the third of the month you double it again. Now you have 8 cents. And tomorrow you have 16 cents. And the next day after that you have 32 cents. Well, there comes a point where it's like, like a critical mass where it's like you can't double it anymore. You can't double it in a day anymore. Right? You get to like $1,000 and it's like, well, you can go to Vegas and put it all on black or red and hope that you win, but it's like, well, now you have $2,000. Come back tomorrow and double it again. You know what I mean? It's like at a certain point, it just becomes impossible to double it in a 24-hour period. This is the problem with the Democrats' thinking. No matter how bad their message is, they just keep doubling down on it. They didn't have a message in 2016. They didn't say, look, the fact is that we've been at war for the longest amount of time in American history in Afghanistan and Iraq. And we, the Democrats, we think that it's time to wrap that stuff up. And also, there's too much money in politics. Everybody knows it. Like we're guilty of it. The Republicans are guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it. But you know what? We think in the interest of saving the republic, we need campaign finance reform. We need laws against gerrymandering. Hard, right, decisive laws that make it so that nobody can redistrict ever. They didn't have any of that. They didn't have any. They could have picked anything. They could have picked anything. But instead, what did they pick? Oh, no. The Republicans are now saying that they are against people coming into this country illegally. Just like Barack Obama said that he was against it. Just like, the knight in shining armor, Bill Clinton, just like he said that he was against it. Every president always says that they are against people coming into our country illegally. Every president says that. And this time, though, Donald Trump says it, and the Democrats say, oh, no. We've completely changed our mind. Now we're all for it. We're all for people coming in. And this is our platform. We're all for the planet's poor people coming into our country because we're rich. And just by way of them being on our soil, they will then too be rich. It's like not a platform. That's not a message. That's not a message. And if it was a message, it wouldn't resonate with anybody. But it wouldn't matter anyways because it's not a message. Their whole message is like, if you are white and a man, you are the highest form of evil. If you are black and a man, you are less evil than the white man, but more evil than the black woman. And if you are a black woman, you are less evil than the black man, but more evil than the transvestite black man, right? And they've got this whole structure where they just made the whole thing up. They just made this whole structure of victimhood up, where if you're a white man, you're at the very top of evil, And in second place is white women, and in third place is black men, and in fourth place is black women, and it just goes on and on and on. Look, there was a really profound. This is what's crazy is that, like, I've said this a million times before. Everything affects everything, right? On the Joe Rogan Experience, episode 1191, he had on Peter Boghossian and James Lindsay. If you haven't heard about these guys, I have become less of a Joe Rogan fan over the last few weeks, but this is one you've got to check out. So these are two guys who are academics, right? They were tenured, I believe, very highly respected in the academic community. They were professors, and one of them is a mathematician. I can't remember what the other one is, but very well respected and published men, right? Published, like, whenever a legal case goes through, right? Somebody wins a legal case. Well, then that sets what's called precedent. It means from now on, if anybody else in the future has a similar problem, they're going to take from your case and they're going to take it before the judge and say, see, in this case, this is how the judge ruled, and so therefore we have a precedent, and you kind of have to now rule just like this other judge did. Well, that's what getting published means, right? If you're an academic and you write up some work of the mind, and all of your peers accept it, and they criticize it, and it goes through, and they say, okay, this is acceptable, and it gets published. Well, what that means is that now all of academia has to think about this when they think about this particular topic. And these men are both wildly published men, very accomplished academics, and they decided to troll academia, and a savage troll they did. I mean to tell, like, I'm not going to sit here and go into it, but they literally, like, one of the papers that they wrote that got published, mind you, was a paper saying that fat people should be considered bodybuilders, and that in bodybuilding competitions, they should have a whole nother category of fat people, because after all, getting fat is literally building your body. Right? Your body's getting bigger if you're getting fatter. Therefore, it is bodybuilding. And because academia has turned into such little bitches, just these weird little creatures that live in their own little fantasy world, and they just think up weird thoughts, and they're, it's baffling. It's because these are the people that we trust as the thinkers. It's like, dude, you're supposed to be the thinkers. Like, while I'm out here working and keeping the economy going with my work, my effort, like, you're supposed to be in your temple of thought, thinking about important stuff, so that we can all progress through the chronicles of mankind. So these people, Peter Boghossian and James Lindsay, they start trolling academia, and one of the papers was a very academic, very sober, astute-sounding paper about, well, fat people should be considered bodybuilders, and it got published. That paper, they wrote it up, and they sent it to academia, and they said, review this, and let us know what you think, and if you want us to change anything, if you want us to clarify anything, let us know. Whatever, and the academic community just ate it up, and they said, oh, this is profound. What a deep thinker you are. Oh, but you're kind of leaving out black people who are also fat, and it's a very bizarre. And by the way, I just mentioned that one. There were a number of them, and on this show, on the Joe Rogan Experience, number 1191 with Peter Boghossian and James Lindsay, they tell you about all of them, and they are all equally as ridiculous as what I just said. And this is academia today. This is where we're at. That's why I was picking on my cousin months ago. I was saying, like, I have a cousin who, if you ever meet him, you'll know that he's my cousin, because he will tell you within probably 7-10 seconds of meeting you Like before he tells you what his name is, he will tell you that he has a PhD from Princeton. Like he's one of those people. He's like a vegan or an atheist. It's like he'll tell you that he's a vegan or an atheist before he tells you what his name is because that's what's most important to him. You know what I mean? Well, he's one of those people. What's my name? Before I tell you that, I got a PhD in theology. All right, which is like, well, I'll get into the significance of that another time. He's got a PhD from Princeton, and boy, he will let you know about it, right? But it's like, dude, Princeton is literally right now, like when they are considering, accepting people in, they run these promotions to high school kids saying, come to Princeton because we have wonderful snacks and we have wonderful play areas for you where you can play kickball or whatever, you know what I mean, or play with puppies. We have safe spaces. We have snacks in our safe spaces. That's literally Princeton. Princeton is doing that. Academia has fallen, is my point, and that's how we get to the point to where we have the Democrats, right? The Democrats used to be JFK, John Kennedy. That's who the Democrats used to be. Martin Luther King Jr., I believe, was a Democrat. Right? The Democrats used to be about like the working people. They've always been shady, but they used to stand for something. And now it's like, well, we're dead broke and Barack Obama's lost over 1,000 seats in the legislature and we don't know what to do. Let's run, and the people are screaming for somebody who's just not one of the establishment. Oh, I know. Let's give them Hillary Rodham Clinton, who bonked her head and now she passes out a lot and she lies all the time and she celebrates, what's his name? What is his name again? I'm sorry. Muammar Gaddafi, who, there's video of it. I'm not recommending, don't watch it. Don't watch the video, but there's video of, the way that he died and, like somebody literally shoved a sword in his rectum. Like, that's how that man died. Now, I'm sure that Muammar Gaddafi was a bad dude. I'm sure he did some very bad things, but you know what? After Ronald Reagan bombed his house, he straightened up. He straightened up. And Libya actually turned into a pretty good place. Because, we smacked him and he checked himself. He did, what more can you expect of a man? And because of Hillary Clinton, he was dragged out of his home and impaled, screaming. And when she was asked about it, she said, we came, we saw, he died. Ah, ha, 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 ha. That's who the Democrats decided to run. And when that didn't work, everyone's a racist. And when that didn't work, everyone's a Nazi. And when that didn't work, well, I'll tell you what, Donald Trump just announced that he has nominated Brett Kavanaugh. Let's bring out these lying-ass women to make up a bunch of stuff about him. Women who swore under penalty of felony. Now again, the last I counted, it was 4. It may be 5, but there are no less than 4 women now who have been referred to the Department of Justice for lying about Brett Kavanaugh. They're going to face felonies. You go back and you watch Dianne Feinstein when she was asked, by Senator Grassley, did you leak that information? Did you leak that information? And you look at the way she answers, she's like, did we leak it? I don't know what's happening. I'm just a lowly U.S. Senator. Doubling down, right? Kavanaugh was nominated. Then there was the hearings, and when you have those hearings, that was the time, that was the appropriate time for Dianne Feinstein to stand up and say, well, I know this one lady, and she says that you sexually assaulted her. So we need to bring this up in the appropriate time. But she didn't. After the hearings were over, then she brought it up. And the whole world But forget the whole world, the whole United States, everybody, Democrats and liberals and progressives and everybody saw that the Democrats no longer care about due process. That they just wanted to railroad this guy so bad because, man, they need that power. And a great man was born. Our sweet, sweet, as Owen Benjamin says, our sweet, sweet Lindsey Graham. Our Teddy Graham, right? That guy's a lion now. He's had it. That guy is no longer a career politician. That guy's an American patriot now. Congratulations, Democrats. Thanks for doubling down. Right? Because you're leaving a wake of Republicans. You've completely lost the black vote. Your bread and butter. Now that's gone. All of the hardworking young black people who care about jobs and family. Right? Because there's people in every culture. There's a lot of white people. Listen, most tweakers, like most people that are addicted to crystal methamphetamine, those are white people, right? There's white people that I could do without, right? Where it's like, I don't care. Like, I hope, you tweakers, you guys just go over there to the Democrats. You guys stay on your side of the fence. Right? We don't need those people. We need, for conservative Christian people, it's like we want people who love their family, love their God, love their country, love working, love it when other people around them are also successful, who are also, resolved to stay married and raise their children. And we take all comers, right? So now, the black vote of the black people who want to go back to the time when black people cared about family, cared about work, cared about Christianity, and they cared about the direction of this nation. It's like we have all of those people. Those are our people. Those are our people now. Those are Republicans. They have left the Democrat plantation, and you will never get those people back. And those people are going to raise up children to think just like themselves. So we've got you for at least a full generation, probably two, on that note. So yes, I do see a red wave. I see the complete collapse. Like this thing that Peter Bogasian and James Lindsay, these papers that they wrote, it's not just funny, although it is that. It's hilarious. Like you need to go watch this, right? I tend, you kind of notice me backing off of promoting Joe Rogan stuff. There's a reason for that. But on this one, I'm going to promote this. You have to see it. And not just because it's hilarious. It's indicative. It's indicative of the times. When these people did this, the entire planet, right? The entire academic community worldwide saw what they did. And they saw that they exposed academia for what it has turned into. Just a weird festival of just perverse thought and meaningless thought. And now nobody's going to trust them anymore. Not trust those two men, but trust academia. I don't care what degree you have. I care about what kind of person you are. And if the kind of person you are is you walk up to me and introduce yourself as PhD from Princeton, it's like, okay, well then you're a douchebag and I want nothing to do with you. And if you introduce yourself and if I have a conversation with you long enough and it turns out that you believe that eating ice cream competitively is bodybuilding, okay, well then I'm done with you. And I will make sure to find out what school that you work at so that I don't make the mistake of sending my children there to learn from you. Because you're an idiot with a PhD. Right? This is why there's going to be a red wave. People see these things. Democrats see these things. Progressives, look, progressive has really turned into a dirty word but if you think about it, it's like, well, I like progress, right? Just 100 years ago, we could not fly through the air or drive an automobile. Well, a little bit longer than 100 years, but, progress has made it so that, in about the span of 100 years, we learned how to fly through the air, and we took that progress and we took it to the moon, and we put an automobile on Mars, and we just put it on, A single individual just parked his car in space. That's progress. So yes, I'm a big fan of progress. I'm a big fan of mankind progressing. But progressives are like, we want progress so much that we just want everything to be different. No matter what it is, we want it to be different. And if a child's best chance of coming out normal is that he has both his mother and his father through his whole life, his father and his mother are together the whole time, then that's by itself is almost 100% guarantee that child will be a success by itself. But progressives are like, no, we have to change that. We need to progress, man. We need to progress past that. I don't care if there's biological law involved. We just need to progress past that. Right? 0.01% of the population in America identifies as being transgendered or trans whatever, like dudes wearing a dress. And progressives are like, oh no, we need to change that. We need more people to be transgendered. And we need to represent these people as if they are 50%, not 0.01%. Because we need to progress, man. It's like, dude, that's not progress. Progress is going to the moon. Progress is learning how to fly. Progress is not subsidizing the destruction of the American family, particularly in the black community. Progress is not saying, oh, we need to give women rights, sovereign rights over their bodies, so we're going to open up all these abortion clinics, and by the way, we're going to put 75% of them in black neighborhoods. It's like, dude, that's not progress, that's genocide. You are strategically trying to wipe black people out. How long did you think you were going to get away with it? You've gotten away with it for 45 years. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. That's a lot longer than I would have guessed if I was, cognizant at that time in January of 1973. I wasn't even born yet. I was in my mother's belly, but I was not yet born. But if you would have asked me back then, I would have said, no way, there's no way this is going to go 45 years without black people getting wise to the fact that they are being exterminated by Democrats, by progressives. Oh, the safest place in the world for a baby to be is the mother's womb. We need to progress past that. We need to progress, man. We need to make the mother's womb the most dangerous place for a baby to be. And they did. We certainly progressed to that point, didn't we? Right? But now people are seeing through it. And they're looking at academia going, you people are nuts. And people who were otherwise liberal or otherwise progressive and registered to vote as Democrat or whatever, like those people are seeing it's like, whoa. You just said white men are the epitome of evil. I happen to be married to a white man. Therefore, that female vote, that female Democrat vote that you just had, you just lost it. Because you just called that lady's husband the highest form of evil on the planet. Congratulations, Democrat. It's like you kept doubling down and you kept doubling down until you hit that point. Right? That point of, like the terminus, you know what I mean? Like you couldn't get past it. You couldn't double down again because nobody would let you. Right? No, I'm not, as a white Christian man, I'm not evil. I don't hate black people. Right? The fact that I'm raising white children does not make me a racist. Those are my children. Right? I'm white. My wife is white. It's just nature. Doesn't make me a racist. And when you call me racist, it's like, oh boy, now I'm never going to listen to anything you have to say. You want to talk to me about global warming? I was probably open to it about 2 years ago. Now I don't want to hear anything you have to say. Oh, you want to talk about what Jesus Christ would have done if these immigrants had walked up to him? I don't want to hear what you have to say about it. Because you have no love of God. You just want to try to, as Saul Alinsky said, make them live by their book. Well, you're just using a demonic tactic, and I'm not going to listen to you. Because you're a bunch of demons now who lie all the time. Calling people racist and calling people Nazis. Saying that these black people like Candace Owens and that whole movement that her and Charlie Kirk have started, You're going to call them like an Uncle or Aunt Tom, call them every racist name in the book. It's like, okay, well then we're done. I'm never going to listen to you again. I'm halfway through my life, and for the second half, I'm never going to listen to you again. I hope that you turn it around. I hope that the Democrats turn back into the, to the party of, JFK and who's that lawyer that's always on TV nowadays? He's a famous Democrat, famous liberal, but even that guy now, Dershowitz, is it John Dershowitz? Famous liberal. He won't listen to you anymore. That guy used to be on your team. Alan Dershowitz. I'm sorry, everybody. Alan Dershowitz. That guy used to be a Democrat. No more. No more. Until you get that guy back, I'm not going to talk to you. I won't listen to you. There's nothing that you have to say that I want to hear, because everything that you have to say results in me being a Nazi. Everything that you have to say results in me being a racist. Everything that you have to say ends up with, me being a rapist. And it's like, no, you've completely abandoned, you've completely excused yourself from the table of reason. When you're ready to come and sit back down, I'll listen to you. But the more that you're shaking your fist, wearing a communist badge on your lapel and throwing drinks in people's faces, it's like, I'm not going to listen to you. You've lost. Red wave, baby. And may it drench. Right? May it cleanse the House of Representatives and the Senate. And listen, you guys, there is going to be a red wave. I can't see any other way that the numbers of what we've been seeing, the turnout of people that keep showing up to go to Donald Trump rallies. You've never seen anything like that before. I know that because I've never seen anything like that before. And the reason that I've never seen anything like that before is because it's never happened. Something big will happen today. And when it does, it's not going to be over. There's a long way to go. These people are going to get more violent and more vile in their speech and more disgusting in their tactics. It's going to get worse. And you and I will be responsible to hold our politicians' feet to the fire. Now, I like Ted Cruz too, right? The senator from Texas. But you Texans, you people in Texas, when he defeats Beto O'Rourke today, that is a signal to you that you must continue to hold Ted Cruz's feet to the fire. And he will appreciate it, I'm sure, if you do. That guy that's running for governor of New York as a libertarian, I hope that guy wins. I can't remember his name right now. I don't have it pulled up, and I apologize. But, dude, if he unseats Andrew Cuomo, oh boy. Can you imagine that? Somebody who's not a Democrat as governor of New York? Totally different game. Whole new game if that happens, right? If Republicans have a whole bunch of victories, because believe it or not, listen, I'm from California. Yes, it's a lot of liberals in California, but you have to also understand there's a lot of Republicans too. There's a lot of conservatives in California, a lot. Right? Over half of the state is agriculture. Right? There's farmers, there's business owners, small business owners. There's a lot of conservatives in California. And to say that San Diego and Orange counties pick up a whole bunch of Republican Congress people, that's not a stretch. That is not outside of the realm of possibility at all. Right? If we win, right? If the red wave cleanses, purges these filthy Democrats out of there, the work will only just have begun. You're going to have to hold your politicians' feet to the fire. That can just involve like a single text message a week or a month. Write a single email to your congressman or to your senator a month. But you hold their feet to the fire and keep in mind that they are your employee. They are paid with your money. Therefore, they are your employee. And they are there to serve you like a servant. That's the show for today. If you want to support the Arch Advocate podcast, I'm just like everybody else, baby. I got bills. I need money too. If you want to support the show, you can go on to archadvocate.com. Arch-advocate.com. You can become a monthly patron. Go onto my Patreon account. If you want to give a couple of shekels a month, perfect. If you want to do 2 pennies a day, like day 2, you do that too. You do whatever you want to do. If you just want to send me a wad of cash because it's Christmas time, because I'm having a baby, because I'm so good looking, and you just want to give me money so that hopefully you will one day be as good looking as I, you can do that on PayPal, right? Just PayPal, it's all there on arch-advocate.com. Don't forget, really the biggest thing you can do, the second biggest thing you can do, or the first, depending on how you look at it, is hit subscribe. Dude, on this podcast, hit subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe. And the bell icon. Someday I'll be so big on YouTube that I will get some of that free Google money, thus aiding in the destruction of Google by bleeding their resources little by little. That's the show for today, and hopefully later on today I will be bringing in a brand new baby. We'll see. I'll let you know what happens tomorrow. Get out there and vote, people. Don't tell me that. Get your ass out there and vote. America. Yeah.